Doc Stanley working on boxing champions outside the ring. Harvey Farmer, you just saw his lovely wife who gave us that great story about Jackie Robinson. Well, this is Harvey's third book, but it is Remembering Yankee Stadium, and I think it's the greatest book you can get about the fabulous Yankee Stadium. And as I told you, picking up the book in my first 40 seconds, I learned a couple of things. One, 1951, the first all-black outfield, Jackie Robinson's team lost. That was the year that Bobby Thompson hit the famous home run, and Hank Thompson, Willie Mays, and Monty Irvin were in the outfield. Now, also in the book, I learned that so many other things. You know, they talked about Don Larson, the day that he pitched the no-hitter. Well, Larson actually didn't know he was going to pitch that day. What he did is he came in and found the ball. In those days, if a baseball was in your shoe as a pitcher, well, then you knew you were going to pitch that day. And that's how Larson found out that he was going to pitch. Farmer also told me something that's very interesting. At one time, the New York Yankees had the rights to both Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park. We'll talk more. Working on boxing, special segment. Remember Yankee Stadium right here. And we'll talk to Harvey in a little while.
So about your first time at Yankee Stadium.
Okay. Okay, as we're going about, well, I'm thinking about my first time at Yankee Stadium. And Francis, were you a Yankee fan, Francis?
I've always been a Yankee fan, man. Die-hard Yankees fan.
Your favorite Yankee player?
Lou Piniella, Thurman Munson, and Billy Martin.
Well, I know you're Billy a big million Martin guy. Number 1, 14 was Piniella, and Munson
and
15.
That's right.
And actually, you know, the guy who I first remember wearing number 15 as we're scanning the camera, Harvey Farmer, book signing, Lloyd and Taylor's, Remember Yankee Stadium. Tom Tresh was the first guy I remember wearing 15. He died not so recently. Rookie of the year, 1962. Played shortstop till Tony Kubek. Number 10 came back from military. My first time at Yankee Stadium, 1961, my dad took me out. Elson Howard hit 2 home runs that night. One to left field, one to right field. The Yankees beat the Cleveland Indians 2-0, and Raleigh Sheldon threw a one-hitter. That was my first night at Yankee Stadium.
Well, I remember Yankee Stadium. I went to Mother's Day, 1977. And Chris Chambers, like 57,000 people. Chris Chambers hit a home run in the 13th inning. Never forget that.
And then he wound up being the guy that hit the home run to put him back into the World Series.
Right. And you know what was amazing was about it that, well, you know, I used to go into Yankee Stadium and just watch them take batting practice. And they used to play the music in the background. Thing was that after when I used to go home, I used to try to listen to the same music and try to mimic the same thing that the baseball players were trying to do. But that was a different story. You know, one thing is trying to be a baseball player and actually, you know, you can smell when you go to Yankee Stadium, you can smell the grass, the scenery. It's like you felt like you were in heaven.
You know, it's one thing you talk about that. Doc Stanley, Broken Boxing, special segment. Remember Yankee Stadium at Lloyd and Taylor, and that is my co-host, Danny Skiles. You know, Danny, another thing, too, was that Art Russ talked about that. You know, the smelling the Frankfurters, the peanuts, how much that meant to him. He was a close friend of Joe DiMaggio's, too, who was considered by many the greatest Yankee of all time. There's Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, number 7, and today's guys, A-Rod. And
you see that what he's looking at right now is Bob Shepard. Right. And that's what I really did enjoy about Yankee Stadium, going into Yankee Stadium and listening to him and saying, "Your attention, please. Welcome to Yankee Stadium." And I think that's when you knew you were in heaven.
You know, it's amazing you said, because every great player says the thing that they like so much is the way Shepard would pronounce it. And you know, I was just telling Miss Farmer, the gentleman that helped push the book, was that at one time George Steinbrenner had called Shepard in and told him he wanted to be a little more animated.
Yeah, no.
Shepard
that wasn't his style.
Shepard told him, if you want a screamer, get Crazy Eddie.
And you know, one time I do remember about Bob Shepard was that the Yankees, when the Yankees were playing the Blue Jays for the first time, and I think we had problems with the hostages in Iraq and Iran. The Yankees, you know, is accustomed to play the foreign national anthem of the country. Well, they played the "O Canada,"
right,
and everybody was booing. Everybody went crazy booing the anthem being played. Well, Bob Shepard took the microphone and he said that Canada was one of the allies in World War II. And it's disrespectful to boo
an ally that helped us during the war.
Yeah, helped us during the war. And from then on, everybody kept their mouth shut.
And they cheered the next
And I also remember when in 1977, when Reggie Jackson was fighting for his contract, and they were throwing money in right field, And the greatest manager of all time, Billy Martin, called up the great Bob Shepard, and he told him, listen, talk to these crowds and tell them to keep it down. And Bob Shepard, with all his class and dignity, got on the mic and the PA system and told them they better cool it off or the game was going to be suspended.
Hey, you bring up a good point, too. When you think of Yankee Stadium, you think of Bob Shepard, and if I'm correct, Bob Shepard is in the introduction to this book.
Yeah, he is. And I'd say this right now, it's a shame. And I think that for 2009, they should have, if the Yankees want to go do the right thing, they should have at least Bob Shepard introducing Yankee Stadium.
Okay, Francis, next slide. So we continue talking about Remembering Yankee Stadium. And your name once again, sir?
Paul Doherty.
Paul Doherty, who Ms. Farmer said is the angel. You've done so much work to get this book together. Great book. You know, Francis brought up a good point. We showed a picture of Bob Shepard there. And when you think about Yankee Stadium, you do think of Bob Shepard, don't you?
That's all I think of. The fact that he's sick now and I don't think we'll be able to work again almost makes me less of a Yankee fan. After 58 years and 5,000 games and all those beautiful memorials and tributes, and the fact that he speaks in English I don't think anyone else speaks anymore. It's a dead English.
He also was an outstanding athlete too, no Shepard, a great athlete in his own makings.
He was he lettered in baseball, football. I don't think he did basketball at St. John's University, and then he played semi-pro football in Long Island. And I think pretty much played up until about 1963 when he was already in his early 50s.
Wow.
And that's why he's still with us at 98, is he took such good care of himself all these years.
That's amazing. You're maybe one or two most revered Yankee Stadium moments.
Oh boy, well in the new Yankee Stadium, it would be, the one that is going would be Chris Chambliss' home run in 1976. Because it was no longer a Met town after that. It was officially a Yankee town.
Again.
And I guess probably the other would be Mickey Mantle's home run in the bottom of the ninth in the 1964 World Series.
Schultz.
That's correct.
That almost went out the ballpark.
That's right. That's right. And those are really, I think, the two greatest moments, but among 10 million.
Yeah, 10 million moments, you know what I mean? And your title and capacity now?
I'm the unofficial editor, interview supplier, picture supplier, and Bob Shepard supplier. Because we had Bob do the introduction, the forward to the book, and got Bob's son to be interviewed, and 4 or 5 other guys, all of whom have happy memories to share.
Yeah. Then the last memory, and we talked about it, the old Yankee Stadium, the pleasure of a kid or every fan just being able to walk on the field at the end of the game. Remember that moment?
Oh boy, up through 1966, that's how you could exit at the end of the game, whether it was a World Series game or an obscure game against the Kansas City Athletics. When it was over, you went out via the field and out via those the 2 bullpens in left and right field, or those doors in center field.
You know, you talk about the Kansas City Athletics, and one time the talk was that they were actually the Yankees farm team, but they got Boyer, Lopez, and Roger Maris.
Roger Maris and a whole bunch of others. And there's a book out about that now, a more obscure scholarly book about the trades. And that had to do with, I think that Topping and Webb owned the Kansas City club at one time. They sold it to their friend, and they just had a nice little deal. It was nice to have a AAA affiliate in the same league.
Listen, to the angel of this book, thanks so very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Danny Boykin on Boxing Champions outside. Remember Yankee Stadium. We're going to talk to the man who put this book together, and more memories with Danny Skiles on the greatest book about the greatest ballpark in the history of baseball.
You know some also the dimensions of Yankee Stadium. I remember when left field was 437.
Well, you talk about that, that the fact that DiMaggio is considered it was a bad ballpark for him, and also the fact that A-Rod is just 2 years ago hit the most home runs by right-handed batter since then.
Let me tell you something. In 1982, I played in Yankee Stadium in the high school
Championship.
And I always wanted to hit a ball over the center field fence, which was 417 feet. And at that time, it was, I think, Mickey Rivers' last year. Well, I didn't have the power at that time to hit a baseball over center field, but I knew if I have a golf ball with the distance that I had, that could go over. So, and I hit it up the alley where it says Brute,
A golf ball.
a golf ball, but I got it over the Yankee Stadium fence.
And you can live with that.
I can live with that.
Dr. Stanley working on boxing at Lloyd and Taylor. We're going to talk to Harvey in just a moment about remembering Yankee Stadium.